All right. Hi. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Michigan Ross Business School application walkthrough session at the application walkthrough event. My name is Sejal, and I'll be your host today. It's my pleasure to introduce Digna and Jada to you. In this session, we'll walk through the MBA application process for Michigan Ross Business School step by step, offering you practical insights on how to prepare a strong application. There will be a live Q&A after the presentation is over. So I would request all of you to submit your questions in the chat if needed. And yeah, feel free to upvote all the questions that you are most interested in. All right, let's get started. Over to you guys.
Thank you, Sejal. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Thank you for joining our application walkthrough. My name is Digna Patel Raj. I'm the Associate Director of Admissions on the full-time MBA admissions team for the Ross School of Business based in Ann Arbor, Michigan in the States. And I will hand it off to Jada, my colleague, for a quick intro.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thank you, Digna and Sejal. I appreciate it. Really excited to be here today. I'm an admissions officer at the University of Michigan, and I have been in the application space for 14 years now, and excited to impart some wisdom and some fun tips on having a successful application. All right, so I think the first fun tip that I would probably tell you is it's really important to get to know the school that you're going to be applying to. So at Ross, we offer lots of different events, virtual sessions, office hours where you can ask questions, but really understanding a program is going to help you write successful essays and really tailor your application to the school you're applying to. So I wanted to tell you some fun things about the University of Michigan, starting off with some differentiators, some things that make our program very special. First and foremost, we believe in action-based learning. We have the philosophy that in order to succeed at business, you actually have to do the business. And so we offer more opportunities in action-based learning than any other school. So if, for example, if finance is your thing, we have 8 different student-run investment funds. There's a whole host of options. I would encourage you to go onto our website and kind of go through each different option and tailor your degree to what you would want it to be. We have 117 top-ranked MBA programs, graduate programs throughout the university. So we have a 57 credit curriculum, 10 credits are electives, and you can use those electives throughout the entire university. You are not restricted to only the business school, and that does make us somewhat different. A lot of our students will choose to use those electives to be a dual degree student. We have 22 different established dual degrees, and we also have several different concentrations. So if you wanted to hone a specific skill in design thinking, ESG, healthcare, analytics, you can do that through our concentration system. We have a very strong alumni network. We're kind of known for it. We have 682,000 alumni across 179 countries worldwide. Becomes a very important network to you when you're looking for recruiting for jobs and internships. You can't really go anywhere in the country wearing your Michigan without people yelling out kind of go blue and being part of something really special when you are part of our university. And what's really kind of fun about that is the Financial Times just interviewed a lot of our recent alums from all different programs. And they ranked University of Michigan, Ross School of Business, #1 for achieving their short-term outcomes. And so our alumni really went out there and said how wonderful they were prepared for their career once they left the University of Michigan. So that's a distinction we hold with Yale and Rice, and we're really proud of it. And the last differentiator I wanted to tell you about is that 95% of our students are career changers. So not necessarily all out new career. Sometimes it's a shift within your industry, but with the action-based learning program, where you're putting that theoretical knowledge that you learn in the classroom into real-world experiences, it's appealing to students who are looking to change their careers. We get excited about a lot of things at the University of Michigan, and Digna and I pulled out a few things that we wanted to tell you about. And we could go on and on, but we have a very short amount of time. So these are the top 4 things that we're excited about right now. And the first one is that the Bloomberg Business Week ranked our school number 8 for best MBA program. And Fortune ranked us number 7. So those are some great rankings that make us excited. We have some new concentrations, new things about our program that we like to talk about. We have an ESG concentration, and we also are getting ready to unveil an AI concentration. An official announcement will be out very soon. We care about our students a lot, not just your academics, but also you as a person. So we have a new director of wellness. So when you're at the university, you can really care for yourself holistically. And that also includes a Calm subscription, which I personally love. Back to some rankings that make us really excited. If you're in the entrepreneur space, the Princeton Review and Entrepreneur teamed up together to look at the rankings of best outcomes for entrepreneurs. And we ended up with the number 3 ranking in that space for our Zell-Lurie Institute. This was the highest ranking of any top 20 business schools. So a big distinction there for us and made us super happy. And Fast Company also ranks us as 3rd in the entrepreneur space. The last statistic there on this slide is number 3 in career services and alumni network by the Financial Times. So we know that your outcome and your return on your investment is very important to you, and it's also very important to us. And so to be recognized for achieving those outcomes was something that we are very excited about. And the last thing that I want to talk about about the University of Michigan, our program, is our standout signature program called the Multidisciplinary Action Project. So we call it MAP because that's a big old mouthful there. But our MAP program is our signature 7-week program that all of our MBA ones take in their spring semester. It's a team project, probably with about 4 or 5 of your other classmates, where you will serve as a consultant to tackle a real-world problem from one of our sponsor companies. So you can see on this slide, our companies really range across all sorts of industries. Education and government was a big one last year at 22%, healthcare at 15%, finance, and also in tech. Lots of different projects focusing on roadmap strategies, market analysis, go-to-market strategies across industries that are both nonprofit and corporate. Also, 42%, I think, were international projects last year. There were 78 total projects, and 42% of them were in international space. So if you're looking for a global experience, doing it through your MAP project is a great way to do it. So leaving our specific program aside, I'm going to walk you through the application process, and we're going to go in depth in all of the different slides here, but this is the overview of the application process at Ross. We take our responsibility very seriously to evaluate and assess your application. We have a lot of processes and checkpoints throughout the cycle. So your application will be looked at holistically, where all components really matter to us. Understanding who you are and what drives you is really important to us. And so I always like to let you know that we do take it really seriously, making these decisions and building a class of students who are going to work well together to achieve those outcomes that we talked about earlier. So the first part of our application process is our test scores. And Digna, could you advance one slide for me? Awesome, thank you. So we want to make sure that you are going to be set up for success academically. And one of the best ways to do that is through standardized tests. So we accept several different tests for you to demonstrate your quantitative readiness. We accept the GMAT, and GMAT's in iterations right now. So the old format, the focus format, the new format, which I think is the focus now. As long as it's within 5 years, we will accept it. We also accept the GRE, and new this year, we will be accepting the executive assessment. And so any of those tests will do. We have no preference. Whichever one you would like to submit is fine with us. We also have something that we call the Statement of Quantitative Academic Readiness. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more on the next slide, but it is an alternative to submitting a test score that we also offer. If you are a non-English native speaker and you need to fulfill your English proficiency requirement, we do offer many different ways that you can do that. You can do that with a TOEFL, an IELTS, a PTE, and new this year, the Duolingo English test, the DET, we will also be accepting. Or you can write us a statement of English proficiency, letting us know why you don't need to take a test. So maybe you work in an environment where it's strictly in English. We also don't require an English proficiency fulfillment if you took your undergraduate courses in all English. So those are a way to waive out of that. Talking about going back a little bit to the Statement of Quantitative Academic Readiness. This is very intentional on our part to understand that some applicants don't have a test score or access to a test score that they would like to submit and still are very qualified to handle our academic rigor. It's unlike some schools where it's a waiver system. There is not a waiver for this. It's just an option that anyone can take. And it is a statement for you to just tell us why you can handle our quantitative rigor. So perhaps you have full-time work experience in data analytics, or you have an undergraduate major in quantitative field or a master's degree in a quantitative field. Maybe you have professional certificates, a CFA, a CPA in those quantitative fields. Anything you would like to add in that space to show us that you will be successful is something that we would be happy to look through. If you are a dual degree student and you have already taken a professional exam like the LSAT or the MCAT, the pharmacy test, the optometry test, or the dental test, please feel free to submit those in the quantitative review as well. Moving right along to essays. And I know a lot of people start getting heart palpitations like, oh no, the essay is coming up. As someone who's read thousands and thousands of them, it is truly the best part of your application where you have the opportunity to just jump off of a piece of paper and let us know who you are. So at Ross, we ask for 2 short answer essays. The first one is, we want to know about your career goal. What's your short-term career goal, and how is our philosophy in action-based learning going to help you get there? So we know we have all the components to make you successful once you're at Ross, but we want to know that you understand our philosophy and are willing to contribute back to our ecosystem. And so this is a great way to show us. A long-term goal is wonderful if you already have it. But we really want the short-term goal, because once you get to campus, you'll be recruiting for internships and already be into that short-term process. And that's why we ask for that specific designation. A pro tip, answer both parts. Make sure you answer both parts. Second pro tip is, a lot of people will write an essay and they look at it and they think it's wonderful, my suggestion is hand it to a trusted friend or advisor and ask them what they think the prompt was at the end. And if they can't answer the prompt, then you didn't actually answer the question. So that's just a great way to make sure that you have answered all parts of the application question. We really want to know your story, where you've been, where you're headed. So bet on yourself to be able to write the best essay that you can. I know AI is a great tool to help you with sentence structure and grammar, but I would really caution you to not have your voice sound like an electronic voice or someone else's voice, to really be authentic and let us know who you are. In our second essay, we will ask you how you were going to make an impact at Ross. And so we want to know, we've given you 4 different options that you can choose from. Choose one prompt. You don't have to choose all 4, and please write down the prompt. It does not take away from the 200 word count there. So please make sure you write down what the prompt is. It can be personal or professional, whichever you want to draw from, understanding and knowing yourself and what it is you want to share. This is one of those times when understanding a program really will help you craft the story that you want to tell. So understanding our culture and our philosophy will help you craft those essays. Then the last part we do offer in the essay department is an optional essay. So if you get through your application and you're thinking, oh, there's just one component that I need to really make sure is clear, this is the place to do it. So some examples of that, very acceptable in an optional essay is, why did you choose the recommender you chose? Or maybe there's something on your transcript that isn't quite acceptable in your eyes. So maybe you got a C in a course and you want to tell us why, and you retook it for an A. All of those things are acceptable. Maybe there's a gap in your resume. A great place to talk about that is in this optional essay. What is not the best thing to use the optional essay for is submitting examples of your work. I am sure that your master's thesis and capstone project was wonderful. We just don't have the time to read an additional 40 or 50 page research paper that you wrote, and it really doesn't have bearing on your application. So definitely choose things that are going to benefit your applicancy. And that would be, I would say, my last pro tip in the essay department is really use that space wisely to your advantage and use it well.
Thanks, Shada. So I will move into sharing more about the letter of recommendation, your resume, and a couple of other things. So starting off with the letter of recommendation, for Ross, similar to many other top schools, we are requesting only one, and that is the GMAT Common Letter of Recommendation. We have found that having one solid recommendation letter gives us exactly what we need in order to evaluate your candidacy effectively. In terms of what this particular form of recommendation letter assesses, there are 4 main parts. So the first one asks, how well does your recommender actually know you? So this is the relationship piece that we're looking for. Then it goes into what are the areas of improvement and how does the applicant react to feedback? This is something we, in particular at Ross, really focus on. We are looking for folks who are receptive to feedback, who do not become defensive, who are willing to collaborate and grow from that feedback. Another piece of it is the grid assessment, which basically allows your recommender to evaluate some of your professional attributes, such as your communication skills, how self-aware you are, your leadership qualities, your strategic thinking capabilities. So there is a scale there that they will rate you on, and then they also provide a general overall rating. In terms of who you should reach out to for your recommendation, we always advise that you use your current direct supervisor, because obviously they know your working style very recently, and they are also charged with supervising you and assessing your professional traits as your supervisor. However, we understand that sometimes this is not possible since you are choosing not to disclose your MBA plans for fear of not getting the promotion or a salary increase. And in that case, it's perfectly fine to go back to a previous direct supervisor. But fundamentally, we want your recommender to be someone who knows your professional capabilities well and can speak to them. For entrepreneurs who might be in this session, a business client or a board member is someone good to reach out to. Also want to note that titles are not necessarily going to be super impactful here. So if you have the CEO of your small company write the recommendation letter, but they actually don't end up writing very much or give us insightful feedback, then that is not going to positively move the needle on your behalf. People that I would not reach out to for a recommendation would be friends, family, colleagues at your same level, mentees, or your direct reports. We really are looking for that supervisor level or a client. Okay, in terms of the actual recommendation letter process and what you can do to prepare for it, a couple of years ago, I heard a student give some amazing advice in terms of preparing your recommender to write the recommendation on your behalf. They suggested actually putting all of your projects that you've worked on with your recommender, outlining the scope, the actions that you specifically took, and then the outcomes. That way your recommender doesn't have to do the mental gymnastics to recall exactly how you worked with them, what the outcome was of the project, and they can focus on writing the impactful content in your recommendation. A few other quick tips: make sure that they're actually on your side, rooting for you, are happy to see you off to business school. If you feel like your manager might be kind of on the fence about their support for your business school pursuits, then it might be beneficial to reach out to someone else. Make sure they also are aware of the timeline for the recommendation so that they have a clear idea of the deadline, and make sure that they themselves have time to actually write an impactful letter on your behalf. And then lastly, it would be good to share your goals with them in terms of the MBA program and short-term goals so that they can also frame your recommendation from that perspective. Okay, moving on to the resume. So some of the key things that we look for in a resume is highlighting your leadership experiences. And they can be formal or informal, meaning they can be part of your jobs that you've held, or they can be part of extracurricular activities or co-curricular as well. It's important to quantify your results and also share any cross-functional work. Ross is very, very big on collaboration and teamwork and leveraging your resources. And so having that cross-functional spin on your resume is going to be very important. Definitely highlight any promotions you've had. And if, let's say, you've been in the same role for 4 years, we might look at that and say, wondering why there is not a promotion here. Please use the optional essay to say perhaps that maybe that's not how your particular role is structured, and the timeline for promotion or advancement is lengthier than what you would see over the standard 2 or 3 years. Again, highlight your volunteer extracurricular activities. We are not looking for candidates at Ross who are strictly focused on their profession and only that. we are looking for well-rounded individuals who are going to contribute not only to the professional and classroom setting at Ross, but also outside of the classroom through clubs and community involvement. And then it's also really important to focus not only on the quantity of your work, but the quality. So again, highlighting your impact throughout your resume consistently is going to be very important. In terms of formatting, please do keep your resume to one page. If you have around 10 or more years of work experience, a 2-page resume would be reasonable at that point. But with our average years of work experience post-grad being around 6 years, we are looking for that 1-page format. Jada mentioned this earlier in terms of AI. We know it's out there, it's a valuable tool to use, but even in the resume, and not just the essays alone, it's really important to have your authentic voice supporting what's on your resume. We're not looking for something completely generic. We want to know that you have tailored your resume to Ross's values as well. In terms of the objective, we know your objective, it's to get into business school, so you won't have to use precious real estate on your resume to put that objective at the top. Please pay particular attention to the dates on your resume. So we are going to be looking for any gaps. If you have anything over 2 months, again, please briefly address that in the optional essay within your application. And then when you are also uploading your resume, make sure that it's uploaded properly, that the margins are okay, and that something hasn't gone awry in the upload process so that we're still getting the full picture of your resume, how we would see it on our end. And then lastly, be careful not to use too much industry jargon. It needs to still be a resume that is readable by pretty much anyone, and they will understand what you are doing in your professional life and in your co-curriculars, extracurriculars, etc. So be careful not to use too many acronyms, and again, that industry lingo or jargon. And as Jada mentioned, also with your essay, similarly for the resume, have other people read it and give their feedback on it. We can't stress enough the importance of that. It's like if you're looking at one thing for a really long time, it might look fine to you, and something major may be missing that only someone else can catch. So although it can be hard to share these personal things with others, it's always good to kind of get out of your comfort zone and get feedback from colleagues, friends, and pretty much anyone who would be willing to carve out the time to take a look. Okay, in terms of non-professional experiences, you do want to highlight them. Oftentimes, when you are interviewing for a school, your interviewer will only have access to your resume. So this is your one shot on paper to tell the interviewer everything they need to know before they actually meet with you. So make sure you're highlighting your volunteer experiences and your interests and passions outside of work. You never know when there could be that one small bit at the end of your resume that's a hobby, a passion, interest that your interviewer might also have and could really help build good rapport with your interviewer and end up benefiting you in the long run. Be as specific as possible about your extracurriculars and your interests. So for example, if you say that you are a runner, maybe talk about the number of races you have participated in. Of course, acknowledging that real estate can be limited on your resume. Do the best that you can to be as specific as possible. I would not focus much on your undergraduate experience at this point for a top MBA program. AdComs are really focused on your post-undergraduate experiences and involvement. And then lastly, don't force it. If you have not had the time to really focus on volunteer experiences, or have not had time to really create an impact in whatever space that you're interested outside of work. Don't embellish it. It is what it is at this point. It's kind of a flag for us when we see 5 extracurriculars on your resume and you started them 1 month ago. So that doesn't, we're really looking for that lengthy experience and involvement even in your extracurriculars. Hey, if you are a reapplicant, good news for you, the stats are in your favor. A reapplicant status is not viewed negatively at all. Truly, this entire application review process is based on 2 things. The round in which you are applying and its competitiveness, and the year in which you are applying and its competitiveness. We unfortunately have to turn away a lot of highly qualified candidates because we simply don't have enough seats for them. So it's not going to be a direct reflection of your ability or your admissibility or competitiveness as a candidate. It's just kind of sometimes how the chips fall for that particular round or year. The application fee is going to be waived if you have applied within the last 5 years. But if you have applied only within the last year, can you have a streamlined process? So let's say you applied 3 years ago to Ross, you would not have to pay the application fee this time, but if you, but you would still need to pretty much submit a brand new application. But if you applied within the last cycle, you would not have to pay the application fee, and you would also have an abridged version of what you need to submit as an application. One of the key things that we're looking for here is that you are able to convey a better understanding of fit for Ross. That's really one of the key things that we focus on through the application process. So for a reapplicant, you would be required to submit an updated resume, a reapplication essay where you're truly focusing on why your candidacy is stronger this application cycle than it was last cycle. So good things to include there are if you have an improved test score, or you have a substantial expanded scope of work, if you received a promotion or achieved a CFA level certification. Those are good things to include in your reapplication essay. The other thing that is still going to be required is if you are invited by Ross to interview. Most of our interviews are going to be conducted by alumni and virtually. Things that are optional for you to submit are the Ross short answer prompt essay, which has been carried over from last year. You will, however, be required to answer the short-term goal question again because it does look different than it did last year. Again, submitting an updated test score is going to be optional, or if you choose to go this statement of quantitative academic readiness route, which is essentially the test waiver essay, you are able to submit that, or the test score, and as I mentioned earlier, any additional certificates. In terms of key tips for the reapplicant process, self-reflection is really going to be very important as you reapply. So again, highlighting in the reapplication essay what's different from last year. One thing that I have seen in the past that probably isn't the best approach as a reapplicant, let's say that you applied round 3 of the last cycle and now you're reapplying in round 1 of the current cycle. That is really just about 4 months in between. And we would question as an admissions committee, okay, how much progress has really been made in 4 months? How are you a stronger candidate over these 4 months? So whenever you submit your reapplication, you want to make sure that you have concrete evidence of why you are a stronger candidate this year than you were last year. Try not to self-sabotage and overthink much easier said than done. But I think with some self-reflections, you probably know where your gaps are. Take a look at the class profile. Again, those are averages, but if you know that you are falling a little bit below on average GPA, think about how you could potentially offset that through a higher test score or extremely impactful work experience, so that when we're looking at your application holistically, we'll have all of the things that we need. And as I mentioned earlier, apply in the best round for you. So if you know that, again, going back to the example of where someone applied in round 3 the previous year, and nothing will have changed by round 1, but you know a promotion is going to be coming by round 2, and you can include that in your reapplication essay, then wait for round 2. So you'll want to choose the round where you can show the biggest impact and change in your candidacy. Okay, in terms of our application deadlines, we have our rounds right here. First round is September 8th, second is January 5th of next year, and then March 23rd of next year as well. For international students, I always recommend that you do not wait until round 3, simply because of visa processing challenges, which unfortunately have been quite prevalent this year. So just to give yourself enough cushion, consider round 1 or 2. And then lastly, stay in touch with us. Unfortunately, we don't have a ton of time here left for Q&A, but we have a lot of upcoming office hours where you can drop in and ask your questions. Please take a look at our MBA admissions blogs. We have a ton of student ambassadors and alumni ambassadors you can connect with. A fantastic student-led podcast that covers pretty much every topic in the MBA arena, not just careers and recruiting, and then also take a look at our full-time MBA U-book. Okay, so with that, I think we can go into Q&A. Looks like we had a lot of good activity there. But I am ready to take the first question if someone wants to come off of mute, or Sejal, however you want to send them through.
Sure. So if anyone wants to go on mute, they'll have to let me know. Maybe you guys can raise your hands and I can let you unmute yourselves for questions. Okay, I have 2 hands up.
Yes, go ahead, Vatsal, we can start with you.
Right.
Hey, hi. Thank you so much for this insightful session. I just wanted to know a little bit about, you spoke in the earlier part about the AI specialization, so concentration. So by when do we get to know about it? I'm just excited to learn about it.
Yeah, so we should be sharing more information within the next month or so. So we will most certainly be making a big announcement. By attending this particular session, you will be on our mailing list. So keep an eye out for that announcement, which again should be coming within the next month.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the next one.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for your time, first of all. I have 2 questions about the tests, okay? First, the GMAT or executive assessment. They are they evaluated equally? I mean, if I have a 80 percentile in EA or GMAT, should I apply with GMAT preferably, or EA is enough? And the second one is about the English tests. Is there any minimum necessary for international students?
So to answer your first question, we do not have a preference between the GMAT or the EA. My general advice for testing is submit the test in which you score better. So if you're going to really be able to submit a super high score on the EA versus an average score on the GMAT, then submit the EA. And then in terms of English requirements, no, we do not necessarily have a minimum. If you make it through to the interview stage. If we have any real concerns about your English proficiency, we would be able to gauge it there. Generally speaking, if your undergraduate degree had a language of instruction of English as an international student, you do not have to submit a language proficiency test or a statement of English proficiency.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Sure.
Hi, I had a question about like work of experience and how you can put it on your resume. If I only have 2 years of experience, can you put some of my undergrad achievements and internships in my resume?
I would steer clear of that. We really are looking for your postgraduate experience. Unfortunately, we would not be able to count any internships or even full-time roles you had during undergraduate. It is only postgraduate experience.
All right, I'll move to the next one.
Thank you guys for the amazing session. So my question is regarding for reapplicant. If, for instance, I studied medicine and I wanted to know, because in our university we deal with grading rather than GPA. So I wanted to know how to like how to, is it possible to shall I just put the transcript and that's it, or try to evaluate or like change it to GPA basically?
Yeah, so there are multiple options within the application to kind of translate your score. So what we'll commonly see is maybe a GPA is on a 5.0 scale versus a 4.0, or it's in percentages. If you feel like you're able to like effectively estimate, like on a percentage basis, what your overall GPA is, it would be good to convert it. However, a WES evaluation is not going to be required at the application stage. It is only if you are admitted and choose to enroll at Ross that we would require a WES evaluation.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Hello, this is Sashwata here. My question is regard to reapplication. So I just wanted to understand, let's say someone has been waitlisted in the round 2 last year, and the updates have been provided. I mean, we provide the updates as and when it comes. So do you suggest, like in the reapplicant essay you just mentioned, we need to put all those factors once again in those essays, or what would you suggest in general?
Yeah, I think you can briefly summarize all of the updates. I wouldn't necessarily append them or recap them in detail. So we are going to be looking at last year's application through our evaluation process, so we will have access to your updates. So again, what's most important to focus on in the reapplication essay is, okay, here's what's different. And you can say, here's what's fundamentally different. And then during last year's cycle, I also submitted updates that focus on X, Y, and Z.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure. Hi, Faye.
All right. I think time would not allow us to go through more questions, but I think like Digna mentioned that you guys can reach out to them and ask all of your remaining questions. And yeah, I would just like to thank all of you for joining the Michigan Ross Business School session at the application walkthrough. And a big thank you to Digna and to Jada for the valuable insights and for the guidance. We hope this session helps you feel more confident as you prepare your application. And yeah, best of luck. And we look forward to seeing you at our future events. Thank you, Digna. Thank you, Jada. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Bye-bye.
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 Thank you.